Are you dealing with a parent that thinks more of himself and about everything that pertaining to himself other than the best interest of your children? Well, you may be dealing with a narcissist co-parent. In order for us to fully understand what a narcissist parent is, we must first understand the definition of a narcissist. A narcissist is a person who has excessive interest in or admiration of for themselves, a disorder in which a person has an inflated sense of self-importance, and sometimes the narcissist personality disorder is found more commonly in men. Since it is more commonly found in men, you may find yourself and the other co-parent going through issues pertaining to more or less the secondary parent instead of the most interest of the child. In order to fully declare if the secondary parent is a narcissist, you must first go through the common traits to understand what they are. Signs and symptoms of a narcissist parent may relate to callous and unemotional traits, disregard for others' feelings, excessive need for admiration or social isolation. They might also have an exaggerated sense of self-importance, have a sense of entitlement, and require constant excessive admiration. And this issue may make them expect to be recognized as a superior, even or without achievements that warrant it. If you find yourself in this current situation, it may make co-parenting a very difficult task. After a separation or divorce, people commonly tend to have co-parentships between the two. They tend to do what is in the best interest of the child and make sure that the child's needs are met at every instance. Many may feel as though co-parenting is at its best, but there's always ways to improve. In order for you to fully understand what co-parenting subjects and what it includes, you also have to know how it affects the younger children. According to Psychology Today, infants and preschool children are the group of most adversely affected by the consequences of divorce, particularly in the case of diminished parent-child relationships and exposure to parental conflict. So when you argue around your children or you cause conflict, it not only affects the co-parentship, but it also affects the children mentally, physically, and emotionally. Most children in two-parent families today form primarily attachments to both of their parents at the same stage in their development. Parent-infant relationships spanning a range of activities and contexts, with separation minimizes, are vital to preserving these primary attachments, as parents who do not interact regularly with their infants and toddlers effectively become strangers. So when your children are at a young age, of very influential ages between the ages of 2 and 6 years old, it is most important for you to stay active in your child's life. Often when co-parenting exists, there are often issues between the parents that cannot be reconciled and often lead to a person or parents becoming distant or non-existent in the presence of the children's lives. After divorce, evenings and overnights provide opportunities for crucial social interactions and nurturing activities that access visits cannot provide, including bathing, soothing hurts and anxieties, bedtime rituals, comforting in the middle of the night, and reassurance and security of the snuggling in the morning after awakening. The vital moments that you spend with your child on a regular basis can be diminished when you and the other parent go through a toxic co-parentship, making it uninviting for the children to understand what it is that's going on, thus creating negative effects on the children, not only mentally but physically and emotionally as well. Without the secondary parent there actively in the child's life, there may be other diminishing issues that may psychologically damage the child in the future. The daily activities that you do with a child create and maintain children's trust and confidence in their parents, while deepening and strengthening parent-child bonds. These bonds are necessary in the development of your child and help them develop later on in life and provide the same necessary needs to their children as well. How to repair interpersonal relationships with the absentee parent. In order to repair your relationship, you have to be able to fully understand the needs of your children, and you must first understand that the needs are secondary to the parent. If you want to have a stress-free co-parentship, you have to be able to set aside any differences and you and the secondary parent had regarding his or her narcissistic tendencies and focus on the children. Be able to forgive a situation does not mean that you have to forget, but it does mean that you have to bury the hatchet and not bring the same situation up later in an argument, which could thus alter the effects of what it is that you're trying to portray. Understanding the feelings is not only the parent but of the children creates a barrier of protection and helps both parties parent at their best abilities. Here are a few simple do's and don'ts when co-parenting with a narcissist. Do not limit contact communication with your ex to absolute essentials. Do establish a regular parallel parenting schedule and stick to it. Do keep strict boundaries with your ex. Do withhold your true feelings, thoughts of your ex. Ignore your ex's threats or antagonism, whether passive aggressive or overtly aggressive. Accept that you cannot control your ex's parenting, even though it may not be in your best interest or what you may find deemable for your children. Don't deny any feelings that your children may have about the co-parentship or the effects of the secondary parent not being in the household. Also, do model resilience for your kids. Here are a couple of don'ts. By any means necessary, don't argue with your ex. Do not make yourself vulnerable with your ex. React to your ex's barbs or criticism. Bite at your ex's threats and antagonism. Internalize your ex's projections, or be verbally assaulted at any point in time. If you feel like the conversation is taking a turn, do your best to stay level grounded and to not make the other parent angry. Do not engage emotionally with your ex, meaning do not take on to any advances that may be preceded by the ex or any type of emotional torture that you may have to endure in order for your co-parentship to be active. Just because you are co-parenting does not mean you actively have to be together in order for parenting to succeed. Not all co-parenting is toxic. There is always negative effects to everything in life, but when we do our best to work together collectively and do what is best for the children, the benefits of co-parenting can be, according to Edward Kroc, PhD, co-parenting decreases conflict, improves communication and relationships with parents, which keeps children away from drugs and alcohol. It also increases the likelihood of both parents remain present in the child's life, and it also increases the child's sense of security and reduces stress among not only the children, but the parents as well. So you may wonder, if all else fails, what should I do when co-parenting doesn't work with a narcissist? If you've tried everything that you possibly can, it's time to erase the board and start from scratch. Figure out what's best is the co-parent. Do the best for both parents to coexist and make sure that the child's needs are met at any point in time. Always do your best on your part. Sometimes the secondary parent may not always be forgetful or helpful, and it may always hover or hang something over your head in order to make the relationship not work. Do your best on your part to co-parent and make sure that your child's needs are met at every instance. By practicing parallel parenting is a radical acceptance. It means letting go and fighting reality. In other words, you must achieve and forget about the inevitable of letting your children down. Sometimes not all co-parenting will work out accordingly to plan. You must then do your best to make sure that the child's needs are accompanied and taken care of by both parties. If a parent decides to go absent, that does not negate or take away from the responsibilities that is needed of you as a parent to take care of your children. At every point in a co-parentship, there will be difficulty, but it is your responsibility to make sure that you do your very best to make sure that your children have a fighting chance at having both parents actively in their lives. So the next time that your narcissistic ex tries to make it all about him, just remember what you're doing this for. Set your boundaries, devise your plan that works for you as a parent and the children, and focus on the main goal.